Hi there, I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. So glad to have you with me as I take you around San Diego. I'll catch you up on the top stories and look ahead at what's to come. So it has certainly been a warm week for us, you could say that. Friday marked day 10 of flex alerts, but California, we must have done a good job and have so far avoided rolling blackouts. Electricity demand on Thursday peaked just before 4 o'clock at 48,000 megawatts. Wednesday, 50,000, and Tuesday set a record for demand at 52,000 megawatts. And now the weather, because of Hurricane or Tropical Storm K, is taking a major turn. CBS 8's Jasmine Ramirez has more on the preparations and explains how these energy alerts work and what they mean for power at your home.
SDG&E has a list of all the areas it serves. The list is in order of which circuits would be turned off first. Here's a look at SDG&E's website. You can see the circuits starting with Casa de Oro, Point Loma, Laguna Hills, and so on. SDG&E says it would begin cutting power from the first half-dozen circuits listed. Those circuits would be without power for about an hour, and the next set of circuits would follow. The need for these outages all comes back to supply and demand.
So it's a bit of this vicious cycle where like the heat itself causes people to use more electricity. And then the heat also like makes the grid itself a little bit less efficient.
Today marked our 7th day of flex alerts. They're meant to encourage people to voluntarily conserve energy and avoid blackouts. Yesterday morning, CalISO elevated the situation to a level 1 emergency. An energy expert explains what this first level means.
It's safe to say that there is serious concern about supply not meeting demand. Like there's obviously a heat wave. There might be some other reason, like a ton of generators have been knocked offline.
A level 2 energy alert was declared today. This means all hands are on deck. Manufacturing plants and commercial facilities are asked to cut back power usage. CalISO said a level 3 was very likely. We hit level 3 this evening.
And then EA3s are like, hey, everything else hasn't worked. Really, the next step is to initiate rolling blackouts.
The state's grid operator is warning customers to be prepared for possible rotating outages. And you can look at your SDG&E bill to find out which circuit you're in. Then you can find the full list of circuits on CBS8.com. Just click the Help button. Jasmine Ramirez, CBS 8.
And another factor contributing to our power problems outside of the heat wave is the drought. An energy expert we spoke to says we're seeing decreased hydroelectricity production due to low water levels caused by, again, our continuing drought and California's push toward cleaner energy.
If you think about it, we're really asking a lot of the electric grid. We're asking it to decarbonize, and then we're asking it to power everything.
4 new temporary emergency power generators in Northern California were fired up for the first time to hopefully prevent blackouts. This week, they supplied enough electricity to power about 120,000 homes in that area, which did relieve some stress on us down here. Now, as we are being asked to use less electricity, we wanted to find out if big businesses are also doing their part. I can tell you here at CBS 8, we have lights on sensors and aren't keeping it quite as cool. And after several of you called and asked about the very well-lit Petco Park, I reached out to the team. The Padres are, in fact, doing their part, too. For example, restaurant and concession stand lights won't come on until much later on game days. Verizon also took steps to prevent blackouts. The network was temporarily placed on generators. The temperature will also be raised in every single California store until next week. The Carlsbad desalination plant also announced plans to reduce water production during this critical time. And finally, the city of San Diego is a huge consumer of energy with 11,000 employees. So I spoke with the mayor about their efforts.
One of the things the city did today at my direction was to shut off our air conditioning units in our office buildings. These are not our cool zones. These are not the places the public accesses. But for city employees, we powered them down at 3 p.m. in order to try and put more energy back onto the grid, again, to support those who are not able to reduce any further and try and avoid rolling blackouts.
We are indeed all connected. These businesses, along with our individual efforts, can help keep the power on. And as for big buildings like the library, the AC will stay on there because it's one of the city's cooling locations. We do have a full list on CBS8.com. So would you be prepared if the power went out? With these record temperatures, it's important to stay ready in case you have to go hours, maybe even days without power. CBS 8's Regina Ureta has tips from El Cajon.
You might have got an emergency alert from Cal OES telling you to conserve energy to avoid power interruptions. Some San Diegans have already faced power outages while others are trying to prepare for one. With extreme heat straining the state energy grid, rotating outages are a pain. But they are an extreme measure used to manage emergencies like the ones many Californians are witnessing. But are people prepared for it?
Flashlights. Actually, I'm not prepared even for flashlights.
We can't cooperate with that. We'd like to, we can't. So, but the whole thing is, yeah, it's been hard. It's crazy. It's like we've set a record.
According to SDG&E, with an emergency alert level, rotating outages can occur, and it will happen by order of circuits. The top one on the list is Casa de Oro El Cajon. My photojournalist and I drove to a shopping center near Casa de Oro where families were stocking up on supplies. This woman even telling me if outages occur, she's willing to sleep somewhere else to avoid the heat.
We checked into a hotel. So if we have to do that, we were going to do it over the day weekend, but the prices, the cost of staying in a hotel shot up.
Well, sleeping at a hotel sounds nice. Not everyone has the same financial means, which is why utility officials recommend you follow these suggestions to help you prepare for blackouts. When it comes to food, make your own ice ahead of time. Freeze containers with water to keep food cold while your power is off. Before the outage begins, try to grab what you need from the refrigerator and limit opening its doors. Food can keep cold for up to 4 hours in refrigerators and up to 48 hours in freezers. Make sure to turn off unplug electrical appliances or any equipment. Keep flashlights in reach, but avoid candles as they can cause fires. Most importantly, stock up on food supplies for you and your pet.
Yeah, it's hard on the pets. It's really, really hard if you don't have air conditioning.
Now, after the power outage, officials recommend that you restock your emergency kit with canned foods, fresh batteries, and other supplies. Regina Ureta, CBS 8.
Important stuff, Regina, thanks. Well, the heat brought on an unusual smell near the San Diego River in Mission Valley. CBS 8 found out a sewage spill is what's causing that foul odor. The city tells us roots in the line caused more than 10,000 gallons of sewage to spill. 4,000 gallons were recovered, but the county had to close Dog Beach and Ocean Beach for 3 days last week. The city says the sewer line has been repaired to prevent another spill from happening. And these warmer temperatures are setting records on land and sea. The warmer water is attracting marine life and is contributing to fishing records off the San Diego coast. Abby Alford shares what some anglers are calling an epic experience.
Well, we can feel the heat on land. Out at sea, it is hot, physically and figuratively. H&M Landing says that they've seen an unprecedented amount of fish out in the water. Shannon Perkins doesn't like leaving his fishing pole these days.
Unfortunately, I do still have to mow the lawn every once in a while.
But when he's not tending to chores, he and little Jim are out on the water with a full boat of anglers.
This year is probably the most epic I've seen over 35, 40 years of fishing offshore.
This time of year, the water temperature off the San Diego shores is about 68 to 72 degrees. But H&M Landing General Manager Frank City says today the water temp was 76 degrees.
Things are as hot as it gets offshore here in San Diego.
Shannon calls it epic. Frank calls it historic.
It's one of the best in sport fishing history.
This time of year is peak fishing season. There's yellowtail, yellowfin off the San Diego coast and Baja. But Frank says what makes this year incredible is the sheer number of Dorado, and you can see by their size. Anglers are even catching 200 to 300 pound bluefin tuna on both sides of the border.
Typically, an angler would have to go out on a trip that's, maybe 10 to 15 days in duration to do that. Now, you can do that on an overnight trip or even a 12-hour trip.
And for those on the San Diego Whale Watch tour on Monday, they witnessed an unbelievable sighting. For about 6 to 7 minutes, a whale shark swam around the San Diego Whale Watch boat during a sold-out tour on Monday.
I'm out here too excited I can't contain my screams, my yells,
Next to Captain Brian McGrory at the helm was Captain and Naturalist Ryan Jones, who was looking through his binoculars.
I was looking at the dolphins.
Then they saw this hubbub on the bow.
In a split second, it was like minke whale, basking shark, whale shark.
Oh my God.
This was a first for most on the boat.
I had goosebumps.
The captains say they've also seen more blue whales than usual migrating south and rare tropic birds.
When I'm on the mic as naturalist, I'm always saying, you never know what you're going to see. Yeah, Monday proved it.
So if you have some time, get out on the sea, cool off, and witness some remarkable sightings. I'm Abby Alford for CBS 8.
That is amazing, so beautiful, and truly so rare. Thanks, Abby. Well, it does feel like a while ago now, but the week started with Labor Day. You may have been one of the hundreds of thousands who headed to the beach over the holiday weekend. It was also a busy weekend, though, for lifeguards. As again, CBS 8's Ariana Cohen tells us there were water rescues and people on the sand who suffered heat exhaustion.
The sun is out, the water is a nice 73 degrees, makes it a great way to cool off, and a busy Labor Day for both beachgoers and lifeguards.
All hands on deck type of a weekend.
San Diego lifeguards have extra seasonal staff workers and guards on deck on this Labor Day.
If you are stuck in a rip current, go ahead and wave for help. Do not panic and try to swim parallel to the beach.
They made numerous rescues and even helped many people suffering from heat exhaustion.
The whole weekend's been extremely busy. We've had all the elements in play with the very hot, humid temperatures, warm ocean temps. It's always important to stay hydrated, but especially with this type of heat, we definitely want to drink a little bit more water early and often throughout the day. Don't wait until you get thirsty, start drinking it before you get thirsty.
And it's not just the heat.
Be patient when it comes to parking.
Parking can be a struggle too. But we met a few lucky drivers.
First spot we looked at.
How many minutes?
Oh,
it was really easy.
3 minutes from the time we saw it to the time we actually got in.
We got lucky.
Wow, how lucky
We
is
always have that. We always do that.
I'm pretty lucky. I'm gonna get one.
Look at my spot right here.
Oh, thanks. See? Woo!
It worked out in her favor.
See, I told you. It's all about that lucky vibe.
Oh man, I should have charged them $50 for this parking space, but anyway, I'm glad I made their day. Happy Labor Day, everyone.
And some not so lucky ones.
Probably about 10, 15 minutes.
And any luck?
No luck. Circling around and around. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know if it's worth it at this point. That's what happens on Labor Day, right?
Ariana Cohen, CBS 8.
Definitely been there on both sides. Ariana, thanks. Well, a team of developers is one step closer to winning the bid to redevelop the sports arena property. The Midway Rising team just won approval from a city council committee. Their plan includes a new sports arena, hotel, and thousands of homes, including affordable housing. Brian White shows us what happened at the meeting and why there are questions surrounding the selection of Midway Rising.
And I too am a yes, so that passes 3-0.
With that, the San Diego Land Use and Housing Committee endorsed the Midway Rising proposal for the redevelopment of the old sports arena site in the Midway District, beating out several other bids. And it has the outspoken support of Mayor Todd Gloria.
This is the start of what will hopefully be a reimagining of this neighborhood that is calling out for change.
Midway Rising hopes to take the 48.5-acre site and build not only a new state-of-the-art arena that will seat more than 16,000 people, but also a hotel, retail, public park, and open space. And what arguably city leaders are most excited about, 4,200 new apartments, with about 2,000 of those being affordable housing.
There is a lot at stake. And for me, this is about selecting a partner for this ambitious plan and to foster the public's trust the city can and will deliver on real estate transactions. And for me, this is not about how many homes you promise, it is about how many homes you deliver.
The development team is mainly made up of 3 companies: Legends, which will build and manage the new sports arena; Chelsea, which will handle the affordable housing units promised; and Zephyr, which will build all the other market rate housing, as well as the hotel, retail, and parkland. Councilmember LaCava had some questions about Zephyr's commitment to see it all through.
We need assurance that the team in front of us is a team that will see this project through. Can you give us that assurance today?
To your question, Councilmember LaCava, yes.
CBS 8 had discovered litigation against Zephyr, calling into question how much due diligence was actually done by the city in vetting this developer.
Can you share whether city staff have delved into these other disputes and whether they have a material impact on our decision today?
We took a look at some of the cases. Some had been confidentially settled out of court, but we were able to get copies of those cases. Both Lucy and Delmar Williams from the city attorney's office reviewed those and had no concerns.
The full city council will vote on this Tuesday, and ultimately San Diego voters would need to approve Measure C on the November ballot to lift the 30-foot height limit there in order for Midway Rising to move forward. I'm Brian White for CBS 8.
And now that the city has taken the first step in moving forward with Midway Rising, the mayor's top choice, we did some digging into Midway Rising and its primary developer, Zephyr Partners, to take a look at what we found and to read how the city and the developer responded. Go to CBS8.com and click on this story. Well, a landmark bill for fast food workers is now law as of Monday. Governor Gavin Newsom signed AB 257. This law creates a fast food council to set minimum wages, working hours, and training, health and safety standards as well. Starting next year, the law sets the minimum wage at fast food chains with over 100 restaurants to $22 an hour. Right now, California's minimum wage is at $15 an hour. The new minimum wage will then increase yearly according to inflation. Well, the new NFL season has begun, and well, you can't legally bet on sports here in California. Things could change next year. In November, voters will have two different ballot measures to choose from that would greenlight gambling on sports in the Golden State. CBS 8's Richard Allen breaks down the competing measures and how each could benefit California.
Well, that's right. It's hard to miss the barrage of TV ads both for and against Propositions 26 and 27, both of which would make sports betting legal here in California, but in very different ways. Proposition 26, known as the In-Person Tribal Sports Wagering Act, would legalize sports betting in person at California's 66 tribal casinos, as well as 4 licensed racetracks, including Del Mar.
It will generate tens of millions of dollars for the state of California. It will help improve tribal self-sufficiency.
70% of those funds generated would go to the state's general fund, with the remainder split evenly between programs for gambling addiction and gambling enforcement.
We're providing funding for the state for education, for healthcare, for homeless services, if we wish, for transportation, whatever the state priorities are.
Prop 27, which calls itself the California Solutions to Homelessness and Mental Health Support Act, would legalize online sports betting in California, something 25 other states have already done.
All the state's taxpayers would benefit. Only Prop 27 would raise hundreds of millions of dollars each year that would go directly towards homelessness interventions, for mental health care.
But critics say that the vast majority of money generated by 27 would not end up in state or to help the homeless crisis here.
Proposition 27 is written by out-of-state corporations who drafted a measure that benefits them and doesn't benefit California.
The independent experts in the state looked at it. They said only 27 would raise a significant amount of money for all of these issues.
Another concern raised, the possibility of online sports betting through Prop 27 leading to underage gambling.
No technology exists right now to ensure that kids can be prevented from gambling 100% of the time.
Under 27, platforms have the strongest age verification system available.
And for a closer look at both propositions, just go to CBS8.com, click on the online version of this story.
Richard, thank you. Well, California is preparing to distribute the updated COVID vaccine boosters, and you should be able to get one soon. According to the Vaccinate All 58 campaign, which refers to the 58 counties in the state, California is expected to receive more than 1 million doses authorized by the FDA. The updated boosters will increase immunity against both the original COVID strain and protect against new Omicron variants. State leaders say these boosters will replace the old ones.
The goal and our hope is to continue on a path of a low number of cases and prevent a surge in COVID cases this winter. That is why public health officials urge individuals to get the updated booster.
The booster doses will be available for people 12 years and older in the coming days and weeks. Well, in the wake of the Queen's death, San Diegans are recalling her two-day visit here. On February 26, 1983, Queen Elizabeth II landed on San Diego shores aboard Her Majesty's yacht Britannia. Thousands of San Diegans stood in the rain that day to catch a glimpse of the Queen of England and Prince Philip. The royals really had a full schedule while in town. Some of their stops included Scripps Institution of Oceanography, the Old Globe, and the San Diego Zoo. The royals made several stops in other cities during their 10-day California tour as well. And Charles, the now King of England, also made a stop in San Diego back in 1974. He was just 25 years old at the time. So I want to show you something more from our archives here. It has been so fun to kind of step back in time. This is a book of scripts that I'm holding from 1974 when we were TV8 Action News. Our archive system is incredibly organized and thorough. So shout out to our archives editor, Barb Nielsen, who found this piece of history. Now, the first line in this thick script book, just 1 month in here, by the way, this was written 47 years ago for this story. The first line says, "Royalty came to San Diego today." Here's a look at Prince Charles on board the Jupiter. At that time, he was a lieutenant in Britain's Royal Navy and served as a communications officer. Hadn't even yet married Diana. Now, our archives show it was a week-long goodwill visit. Here's reporter Jim Gordon asking a very San Diego question.
Have you been able to maintain your tan pretty well?
It depends on you. I can't see it.
If you'd like to go inside the vehicle, we can take a look.
To see that. So obviously a lot has happened since. So today I spoke with a political science professor at SDSU. She studied UK politics and European monarchies. She says for those who would like to see the monarchy go away, this next decade or so will be critical. King Charles doesn't have the popularity of his mother. According to YouGov, Queen Elizabeth had an approval rating near 80%. Charles is closer to 20%.
It is possible that some people who are skeptical of the monarchy become more skeptical of the monarchy, that some of the goodwill that it had was tied to Queen Elizabeth. And we just don't know at this point because those things have been one and the same for 70 years.
Regulations on
Our expert there doesn't have any reason to believe the monarchy will ever go away, but if it did, it would likely come down to a vote amongst the people, just how Brexit was done. She also thinks it's very possible people will warm up to the king in his new role. Well, the city of Chula Vista is getting ready to build a new cinematic arts academic center and library. Leaders announced Wednesday they've secured $30 million in state funding for phase 1 of the project. The facility is projected to cost $89 million and will be home to SDSU's brand new state-of-the-art television, film, and new media studios. Doors open for students in the fall of 2025. Well, if you want to learn how to grow your own food, an expert gardener here in San Diego is sharing his secrets with people around the world. As we take you in the Zevely Zone, Jeff visits the man behind the YouTube channel called Epic Gardening.
Most people on social media would be happy with, say, 200 followers. Kevin Espiritu is closing in on 2 million.
This year, I mean, we're growing a ton of tomatoes.
9 years ago, Kevin Espiritu started planting his own food.
So this is how we start seeds. So we've got just some tiny little onion seeds. They're like these little black seeds.
Kevin started posting online videos. His plants were growing, and so were the YouTube followers.
If you want to learn how to successfully grow plants, but you think to yourself, I just don't have a green thumb, then you've come to the right place. When I hit the first 1,000, I was like, oh man, big time, you know? And then when I hit 10,000, I was like, wow, like this is really going well.
I'll say, Kevin's closing in on 2 million subscribers.
What did you know about gardening before you became a gardener?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Kevin was making a living playing online poker, but decided to gamble on himself.
So you have a pumpkin here. These are squash. This is like a really young sort of butternut squash.
Addicted to video games, Kevin started gardening to kicked the habit. And when people took an interest in his work, he branched out and set a goal.
You know, initially it was teach 1,000 people. And then I said, then 10,000. Then I said 100,000. And as the blog and the YouTube channel grew, I just kept upping the number.
Kevin now wants to teach tens of millions of people how to grow their own food because most people don't know how to do it.
It feels like, culturally, all of us are missing a little bit of that, you know? This is the first almost ripe fruit.
Your goal was to grow enough food for you to eat, and you surpassed that?
Well over that. Yeah, I mean, this year probably I've grown 700 tomatoes or something around that range out of a backyard. So that'd be like 5 a day for the whole summer. I just can't eat it, you know?
His biggest advice, don't be afraid to kill a few plants. Your beautiful garden could be a YouTube click away.
The vibe we've tried to put out is, hey, this is just fun. It's cool. It's a normal thing to do. I've been summoned. Like, I don't look like the traditional gardener, but that's the whole point.
And since Kevin had a bumper crop of tomatoes,
my compliments to the show.
Come on, it's good, right?
Yeah.
In the Zevely Zone, Jeff Zevely, CBS 8.
That is so great, right? We can do this. Kevin has 3.6 million followers on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook combined. For a link to his videos, visit the Zevely Zone page at cbs8.com. Well, if you ever need a little extra motivation to get out of bed for your morning workout, this next story may do the trick. We take you back to the Zevely Zone. Jeff heads to Choose Fitness in Encinitas to meet Mr. Motivation.
This story idea came from a Zevely Zone viewer who thought everyone could find inspiration from Les Burge.
For 80-year-old Les Burge, it's a full workout just getting to the gym.
Hey, good morning, Les.
Morning, Les.
As he walks in the front door at Choose Fitness,
I see him every day in here, though. You know, he's a real trooper, in my opinion.
You work out every day?
Yeah. Les is met with admiration.
He's our inspiration. Yeah, everybody notices him.
This is like the show Cheers, where everybody knows your name?
Yeah. When Les was in his 20s, he suffered a spinal cord injury playing football, and despite the pain,
that's in the Italian Alps.
He still rode bikes all over the world.
This is in Spain.
Even though year by year he could feel himself slowly losing a battle with his body.
I asked my doctor, I said, what kind of life am I going to have? What's going to be my quality of life? And his answer was, the quality of your life is up to you.
More guts in the world, more guts than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Dennis Munden says when his body starts to ache, he thinks of Les.
It just gives you heart. Just absolutely gives you heart.
I call these my high wire exercises because I don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Les comes in every single day with one of the best attitudes that you could possibly imagine.
Jordan Lancaster is the Choose Fitness manager.
Came in the other day and he said, you know what? I'm just trying to keep up with you. And the only thing that I could say is, Les, I'm trying to keep up with you.
When Les was younger, he ran the Grand Canyon from the North to South Rim. And even now, feels like he's just one step ahead of a wheelchair.
What people do is they come to me and they say I give them inspiration. It really makes me feel good that that's true.
How do you feel about the moniker Mr. Motivation?
Well, I mean, I don't think of myself that way.
But others do.
You know, he's the one that keeps us going.
About a man with a spinal cord injury.
There's no better person with a better attitude.
And the strongest backbone you'll ever see.
All right. Fantastic, gentlemen.
In the Zevely Zone,
the star of the day,
Jeff Zevely, CBS 8.
He is Mr. Motivation, truly inspiring. Jeff, thanks for sharing. Now, Les lives with his son in San Marcos. He says every day in the gym is one less day he'll live in a care home. Well, as always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for staying informed. Hope you join me each week as I take you around San Diego. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take good care.